Good morning and welcome to the Monday, oh my God, the Monday morning 9:30 call after a long weekend. Good morning, Karen. Hope everybody is back and ready to go. There were definitely less out of office messages yesterday than last week, but we know that summer is the time folks are off. So it's great to see 41 folks already here on the call. Um, the governor did sign the budget. Um, I think she signed it on the 4th of July for Massachusetts. There was also the federal, the bill that we've been talking about also got signed by President Trump on the 4th of July. So there was a lot of budget activity over the weekend, and the governor vetoed one thing in the Department of Early Education and Care, and it was $1 million in the employer supportive pilot program, and we'll go through it more on sharing the mic, but it on Wednesday. But it was not a major veto for early education and care. I think there was 130 million. No, I'm wrong. There might be less than she vetoed. I'm not going to say any numbers, but we'll talk more about it on Monday on sharing the mic. Just go through it. But so the now we are in fiscal year 26 for Massachusetts, and so we will continue to share updates as they become available. And so I'm going to turn things over to Kyle DeMeo Cook and Karen Murphy from Boston University Wheelock College. And we're so excited to hear your update. The first question, as you know, we ask all 9:30 callers, is for each of you to tell us a little bit about you and how you came to be in your current role.
Kyle, you want me to go first? Do you want to? Okay, I'm happy to go first. Hi, I'm Dr. Karen Murphy. I'm a faculty member at Boston University's Wheelock College. I was hired at historic Wheelock College in 1999, which is how I came to be in my current role. And I've been in a variety of mainly, faculty, but also some administrative roles at Wheelock over the years. Department chair, program director. I'm currently the program director of early childhood programs. Um, and super excited to be here to update you all on some exciting things going on at BU Wheelock in early childhood. Kyle?
Great. Thanks, Karen. Hi, everyone. I'm Kyle DeMeo Cook. I am also at Boston University Wheelock College of Education and Human Development. I've been with Boston University for 3 years in research and teaching roles, and this summer I'm actually transitioning into working with Karen in our early childhood program. So I'm super excited about that and to be with all of you today. Before coming to BU, I've been in academic research type positions as well as non-academic research and advocacy type roles. I've worked at Education Development Center for a long time, working in research and applied research with communities. I've also started my career working with Amy at Strategies for Children. So I'm very excited to be here today and see all of you. I'm going to go back to Karen. Karen's going to share some slides and do a walkthrough of some of the programs.
Amy, any questions before we get going?
No, it's also great to see many
Yeah.
BU Wheelock College colleagues here. Hello, Eleonora.
All right.
That's great. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. I just have a few slides. These are the ones that I use for open house, but it's just a quick little visual overview. I will also share the slides with Amy. So if anybody wants to go back and look in more depth, we are not obviously going to go through these in any kind of depth. So I am going to share very quickly some slides. So for those of you who are most familiar with historic Wheelock, our home building now is at 2 Silver Way, which is very near Kenmore Square. What used to be historic Wheelock is now called the Fenway campus, and many of our centers and labs are over there. So SEED is over there. There are a variety of other things. The Earl Center is still over there. So I do know, I think, several of the people that are here today at the alumni event last week, which was absolutely lovely. And they had a chance to go over there. One of our most exciting updates in early childhood programs is that Kyle has joined us full-time starting this month. So these are the core early childhood faculty, the folks that are specifically assigned to our early childhood programs, myself, Dr. Nermeen Dashush, Kyle Cook DeMeo, and Dina Castro. Other faculty that frequently work with our students in a variety of, courses and different experiences throughout the program. Amy, of course, you are pride of place here, as well as Eleonora and Stephanie. So some of our other folks. The main thing to know about the early childhood programs is we have two main program areas. The first one is the early childhood education program. This is a teacher preparation program for people who either are working with young children in classrooms or other educational settings and would like to get a master's degree, or who are entering early childhood education from other fields or other areas and would like to get their initial teacher preparation with us. You can either do a licensure option, which would qualify you for the endorsement for the state license to teach in the public schools in Massachusetts, as well as through reciprocity in most of the rest of the country. Or we have many, many students who choose to do our program without licensure, which most of the coursework is the same. The main thing that is different is there's a second qualifying practicum for the license in the licensure program. But most of the students start the program together, go through the same course sequence, work with the same faculty. There's virtually, no difference except for that qualifying experience. Some signature courses. We did come on a while ago when we updated this program. This program has been fully updated recently. We're very excited about the coursework, and it's been extremely well received by students. We've had some really exciting cohorts of students go through, and we've gotten really positive feedback on the courses that we've updated. Field-based experiences, all students do a field-based experience in a local school. For those students who are working in a qualifying setting, we do job-based placements. So if you're in a setting that qualifies for our practicum, you can stay in your job as long as it's in the greater Boston area and meet certain requirements that I'm happy to talk with folks about. And then the primary practicum, of course, is the second practicum for those seeking the license. We have experiences and relationships with schools, teachers, programs throughout the greater Boston area. And we place students with experienced teachers who have, philosophical alignment with our program, and many of whom are actual alums. So our second and newest program area is the master's degree in leadership, policy, and advocacy for early childhood well-being. This will be the program that Kyle will primarily be working with. She brings a tremendous wealth of experience and her own professional network and connections to this program. We're so excited to have her joining us. We are also anticipating working with BU Virtual to take this program online, so that there will be an online, probably only an online version of this, depending on the demand. It's possible we'll try to do both, but I think most likely we'll be moving to a fully online version of this master's degree. This program is for folks who either have been working in early childhood in a variety of roles, and again, would like a master's degree, or for those who are coming, into this field from other types of roles and experiences. We do look during the admissions process that people have meaningful experiences with children and families, simply because a master's degree obviously is quite a commitment. We want to make sure that people are making an informed choice, but there is no requirement that people already have an early childhood undergraduate degree or, a tremendous amount of teaching experiences. We definitely have our share of career changers coming into both of these programs. The leadership, policy, and advocacy program, again, this is a fairly recently developed program. We have some lovely signature courses. Some of the faculty who've taught these courses are on this call, and I'm sure would be happy to talk with people. There is also a year-long field component to this program. It's one of the things that sets this program apart from leadership, policy, and advocacy programs at other institutions, is that students get significant hands-on professional experience as part of their program, credits. If students are employed, again, in a qualifying organization, they can certainly do this in, their job. Typically, if it's a job-based placement, we work with the student and the organization to think about how do we build the skills that you already have. So not just doing the job that you've already been doing, but really how do you then develop, new knowledge, new skills, and new experience that will help you to advance in the field. We also place students in a variety of partner organizations. We've been working on building partnerships over the last few years. And again, are excited to really expand that beyond just the greater Boston area with an online version of this program. So that's just a very quick overview. And I am more than happy to talk with anyone who would like to talk more about these programs. My contact information is here. I'm available year round. I'll be on vacation for the next week and a half, but we'll certainly be checking email if people have follow-up questions. And I know Kyle is also more than happy to field some questions. And Kyle, I want to turn it over to you so that you can give a little bit about your perspective and your experience working with these students. So I'm going to turn it over to her. And also any questions that people might have, either for Kyle or myself.
I think first, Karen, someone was asking about how long it takes. Can you talk about the full versus part-time options?
You bet. So either of these programs can be pursued either full or part-time. For students who would like to be full-time, both of these programs would be a fall start because the foundational coursework is all fall coursework. So if you were to pursue these programs part-time, then you could start either fall, spring, or summer. For full-time, both of these programs can be pursued within a calendar year or a year and a half for the licensure program. So if you're doing the early childhood education program with licensure, that would be full-time, fall, spring, the following fall. Non-licensure program can be full-time, fall, spring, graduate in May. And then the same for the Master's in Leadership Policy and Advocacy. Full-time would be 2 full-time semesters, fall, spring. For part-time, how long it takes really depends on how part-time you're talking. If you're taking a course at a time, part-time, then you're looking at probably 2 years and change. And again, depending on whether you're doing the extended program to qualify for licensure for early childhood education. For full-time, we usually do have some pretty good opportunities for scholarships if students are applying for the fall semester. Many of our students get merit assistance. For part-time, one of the advantages of part-time, especially for working adults, is that the tuition rate is lower for part-time and evening classes, as well as for online and summer classes. So it's a way to, make it more manageable financially if you're not pressed for time to complete your degree. So the early childhood education non-licensure program is 34 credits. The early childhood education with licensure is 48 credits. And the leadership policy and advocacy program is 36 credits. So the sort of course structure is usually 4 credits. There are a few 2-credit courses, but you can just do the math if you're doing part-time. Part-time is anything less than 12 credits. So you can take 3 classes, 2 4-credit, 1 2-credit, and still be considered part-time. Did that answer the question?
I think so. Yeah.
Awesome.
I think also if you're thinking about it, the best thing to do is to call Karen or Kyle.
Absolutely.
Because I think that's the one thing about making it work. There was also a question about undergrad.
So our undergraduate program, this has changed in the last 5 years. We now have one undergraduate major at BU Wheelock. It is education and human development. We no longer have an early childhood undergraduate major, and that's true of all of our majors. Anything that's not education and human development was sunsetted, but all of our previous undergraduate majors can be pursued at the graduate level. And there is a route for students to go from the undergraduate major into our graduate programs. We have streamlined programs for many of our majors, and I'm happy to talk with anyone about what specifically that would look like if they're interested. All of our new students have a faculty advisor, and we work really closely with you or them to craft a program of study that's going to work for them. So they know up front, what would this look like? How long would it take? What courses would I start with? So we're more than happy to sit down and sort of walk through what actually would this look like for folks if they're interested in in pursuing it or looking into it. The other thing that I would, just also say is that we get a lot of our excited students applying because of word of mouth from their mentors, from their center director, from their principal, from a colleague.
Right.
And so if you know young professionals that are promising that you think might be interested, please let them know to look into our programs. We're happy to, take recommendations from folks, and we get a lot of new young students that way. So
Great.
So I'll just add is that I'm super excited to be in this new role, particularly the Master's in Leadership Policy and Advocacy for Early Childhood Wellbeing. It is a very unique program, which is part of why I'm so excited about it. There's a lot of opportunity to really think broadly about what students are interested in doing in the future. So unlike the licensure program where you're getting your licensure to teach or continue teaching, this master's degree is really the opportunity to say, like, I love working with children and families or on their behalf, but I'm not sure what's next for me, and I want time to explore that. So as Karen mentioned, there's a year-long internship experience where the goal is actually for you not to be in a school or not to be in a setting that you've already been in. So there's a lot of opportunity to think about what that might look like. So Amy's taken a lot of really wonderful interns at Strategies for Children. There's been internships that are more research focused, more advocacy focused, more policy focused. So there's a lot of opportunities to try things out in a safe environment before you're kind of making a big new change potentially. Also, a number of students end up staying in their roles, but they are maybe shifting what they do within their existing organization. So it's a really exciting way to think about what's next and really to help continue to build this field. And I know Amy always talks about like infiltrating into all the spaces, putting early childhood everywhere. So this is part of the idea of this program is to help do that, right? Get people in leadership positions, not just in Massachusetts. If we go online, we'll have students from all over the country and likely all over the world who are interested. So it's building a cohort, building a network that would really be for you professionally going into the future, which is very exciting. And Amy and Eleanor, you had a big role in like setting it up too. So if there's anything else that you want to add about what makes this unique too.
Come on, Eleanor. Anything?
I think that, thank you for inviting me to say something, but I think that both Kyle and Karen have covered everything that I would have said. So it's an exciting new program. And one of the other things that I do want to emphasize is for people who are at the moment doing, for example, a community college degree, we do have several students who have done the community college to the 4 year, to the what I call the 5 year program that gets you to the master's program in either one of the early childhood advocacy and policy and leadership in a different order, or the one that leads to licensure. So
Thanks, Eleonora.
mhm.
And I think, yes, I think I have taught the year-long field experience class for a couple of years, and then I recently taught the child and youth advocacy class. And I think the opportunity, as Kyle said, to be somewhere different. I'm also going to add in chat, Strategies for Children is creating, with support from a funder, an embedded fellowship, a 20-month fellowship for folks graduating from a BA or master's degree level, because we've seen so many interns who kind of go back to school, get the master's degree in policy, and then it's really hard to find a job or a place to do that. So we are really excited. We're going to be starting in the fall, and we're also hiring an early childhood fellowship coordinator, because this is going to be a small cohort of 4 fellows across different organizations. So we know it's like the chicken or the egg. Do you need policy experience to get these jobs, or do you need these jobs to understand policy? And it's both and. And we also need to think about the next generation. And I think BU Wheelock has been an innovator in this space. This kind of type of master's degree, um, to get the field experience as well as kind of the coursework, I think is really rare. And I also think we're always looking for organizations to partner with, because
Yeah.
we want organizations who share the same kind of values about what interns are competent and capable, and how do you kind of give them access in the organization. And when I taught the class last year, we had someone at the Children's Trust. We had someone who was in her school, but she was doing a completely different research-based internship project. So I think like make it work has been the motto, which is incredible. And I think to see a higher ed institution really think about what's best for students and what's best for the work that we're all doing together. Kyle, can you talk a little bit about the experience? Because I think as somebody who teaches in higher ed in person and online, there's a lot of kind of feelings about teaching online. Can you talk about your experience and how it's not just about taking a course and moving it online, about the work that you've done to do that?
Sure. So I will note that our program this year is fully in person. So if you are
Right.
really interested in person, and there's still time to apply if you're interested, of course, for this year. And there will still be some in-person opportunities at BU, even if this program goes online. We have a great ed policy program. So if you're interested and you're like, oh my gosh, I would never do online, that's okay. There are lots of opportunities at BU, and there will be going forward no matter what. Um, yeah, so before coming to BU, I was at an institution in New York where I was teaching in a fully online graduate program and just learned so much about how there's really wonderful opportunities to really connect with students online. It also, what I learned, which is that there's lots of people who just really cannot go in person. Like many of you, that's probably what you're thinking as well. How could I ever get to Fenway or, near Boston, um, in the evening at some point after work with my family situation? And online opportunities really do provide ways for access for people who would never have the opportunity to do programs. In really good online programs, which I think BUs are, is we really have personal connections. So as Karen said, you still have an advisor who you can meet with, you can get on Zoom with, who will call you, who will check in with you. There's open office hours. Even if your courses are online and you're learning in that modality, there's lots and lots of effort placed to still make those personal connections. Because there's an internship component, you will still have an internship. So say you live in Springfield and you want to do an internship in Springfield, we'll work with you to figure out how to do that. So you could potentially have an in-person internship or an online internship, but in in the location where you're at. So there'll be lots of flexibility, particularly in this program. And all of the faculty are really trained to teach in an online way that is really supportive and connected. This is a school of education, so we are very much thinking about that all of the time. So it's if an online program feels scary for reasons that you want to talk about, technology, or I'm not going to know how to log in, like you are not the first one who are feeling that way. And there's lots and lots of support. Even our in-person students, many haven't been in school in 20 years, and things are changing rapidly. So there's lots and lots of support to make sure that everyone feels comfortable, knows how to access the online library system, knows how to access, where to find information and setting up their email. So whether you're in person or online, there's lots and lots of support to make sure that, you're not just like show up on the first day, good luck to you.
Right. I'm well known to all the IT departments and the higher education institutions where I am. And I think everyone's learning how, especially even as faculty, like how do you post things online? How does that all work? There's also in the chat, Sally Fuller said, "Awesome, Kyle is the perfect leader for this program. Congratulations on all levels." And then there was some chat about the scholarship program, which we know is available and is available right now. So yes, the EEC scholarship
Yes.
program is applicable.
To all of our early childhood master's programs. So the early childhood education program, as well as the master in leadership policy and advocacy. Both of those, we have had students qualifying for the EEC scholarships.
I think too, as somebody who, I mean, I applaud people who are full-time in higher ed. It is such to get a course and to get a master's program approved was a humongous amount of work. So I think kind of having a bird's eye view of that process was such a learning experience for me. And then we joked because Kyle was, started Strategies for Children, and now I said Kyle's my boss, but she said there's no bosses. So, but I think to have folks who have both lived experience and higher ed experience kind of anchoring these programs is so important. And I do think the what Kyle said about virtual organizations, we in this world are going to need people to be able to have virtual organizations. We know that doesn't mean that preschool teachers will be teaching virtually, but we know that there are plenty of organizations that could use help. We get this question all the time about how do you keep interns busy, and we can help with that side of things. I think Titus has said we have had 40 interns since 2018 at Strategies for Children. It's something that we really believe in, and providing kind of the upper. We have three this summer, who are all superstars, at all different levels of education. So I think it's such a win-win to think about these programs. And if you are even thinking about it, I would suggest talking with Kyle and Karen because it can be intimidating and feel like I don't know if it's for me, but I think it's important to to think in the abundance frame and say like, wow, you are also going to be bringing so much to the program. So Kyle and Karen, any last words?
I'll
Thank
just
you
say
for
that,
letting us come. Yeah,
yeah.
go ahead, Kyle.
I'll just add that this community is so special in Massachusetts, so we'd love for you to be involved in whatever way. Like Amy gave, recommend this program to someone you know. If you're interested in yourself, think about if you would be interested in being an internship site. And then even minimally, like we love having people visit, and that can be a virtual visit and talk about their experiences, because it is very hard for people to think about like, well, what would it look like to work at EEC? What would it look like for me to start doing something that I've just never done before? So many of you are leaders in these organizations. So we'd love to have you come and talk to our students. So even if it's coming in for a 30-minute Zoom call during a class to say like, this is how I started. I never thought I would have this job, but here was what my pathway looked like. We would really love that. So you get in touch with us for really any way you want to be involved.
That's great, Kyle. Thank you both so much for joining us today. We're so happy to have you. I also think something was going on with Zoom because when I went to the Zoom to start this meeting was not there. And then, so I think people have messaged that might not have been on your calendar. Hopefully, all the Zoom is back. Tomorrow, we're going to hear from a tour. So, New Bedford visited Somerville for their CPPI program, and Titus got to go. I got to go for a bit of it. So, we're going to hear about kind of those lessons learned when you had these kind of cross-city collaborations to think about how they're supporting young children. Wednesday is sharing the mic, and then Thursday we're going to hear from Joe Diamond, who's the executive director of the Mass CAP, the Mass Association for Community Action. He's going to update us on the Poverty Commission recommendations. We had both Senator Sal DiDomenico and Representative Marjorie Decker on the call to talk about the commission when they were meeting. They do have recommendations available now. And then we're still booking for this summer. So if you have an idea of somebody you want to hear from, please let us know and we will work to get them on the 9:30 call. Thanks again to Kyle and Karen, and we will see everybody tomorrow. Have a great day.